3 Lives 3 Worlds, 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. By Tangqi Gongzi. Translated by Hamster 428. Chapter 2. Fourth brother was the one to build this straw hut by the Biao pond. Every time I run away to Jian's, this is where I would stay it. When we last parted the orchard, this hut was already so very dilapidated. But I'm rather impressed that it's still standing around after all the rain and shine of 10,000 years. I take out a light pearl and shine around. Thoughtful Jian has arranged everything I need. I'm indeed extremely satisfied. Next to the hut is a shovel. It's the same shovel I used to plant the peach tree. Now I can use it to dig up those wine jars. How useful! Tonight's moon is almost round. The pear tree Jian mentioned is very easy to find. I stomp the shovel into the ground and use my energy to pull the tree up. Just with one glance I can see shiny jade jars buried under the earth. I happily shake them lightly and took off with them to the roof. The hut trembles a little but it stays standing. The wind is cold on the rooftop. My whole body shivers while I take off the wine jar's cover. In just a fraction of time, the fragrance has reached all over the orchard. I close my eyes and take in a deep breath. The more I sniff, the more I am awed by Jian's wonderful wine brewing techniques. In just a short time I've been able to down half a bottle. The soft breeze adds to me a sleepy feeling. I'm not into many enjoyments normally. Wine drinking is among the few I like. When drinking wine, you need to do it at the right time, right place, with the right person. Tonight the moon is bright over the water, so heaven is in agreement. Peach blossoms go on for 10 miles along the East Sea coast, that can be counted as an agreeable location. Beside myself on the roof, there are also some black magpies, we'll grudgingly call them good company. I gulp down some of the wine. This peach wine seems different from all the other wine I've drank before. But if I think about it, I haven't had any of Jian's wine in a while, so perhaps my memory of it is hazy. One gulp then another. Even though there's no accompanying snacks, I'm satisfied with the picturesque scenery. The dark night before my eyes seems to have been covered by a thin veil of pink. A flame envelopes my entire body and my blood seems to have entirely boiled away. My head spins as I clutch my shirt. I sweat all over as if I was on a fever. It feels like there are numerous insects crawling inside me. My mind becomes drowsy, but this sensation is nothing like an ordinary drunk feeling. The heat suddenly rises uncontrollably and I have no way of blocking it. Nothing seems capable of that right now. I drunkenly stand up, wanting to jump into Biao pond to cool down a little. But I lost my balance and feel straight from the roof down to the ground. The strangest thing is that it doesn't hurt when I fall onto the ground. I only know I've touched something cold and it has relieved me from much of the heat. I use all my strength to open my eyes. Before my eyes is a hazy shadow of someone in an all-black attire. It's not Jian. The sky seems to turn. The silver moonlight spreads across all 10 miles of the peach orchard, showing endless vibrant flowers. The water from the nearby Biao pond is also mesmerizingly shiny. Then everything turns into a burning fire. I close my eyes and feel the painful heat throughout my body. I try to inch toward the cooler air coming from the blurry person ahead. When I lift my head slightly, my cheek touches his neck skin and it felt ice cold. My fingers are no longer mine to control. They tremble as they touch his side. He immediately pushes me away. I calm him down. Don't be afraid. I'm only looking for a cool spot. But his protest only becomes stronger. In more than 100,000 years I haven't used hypnosis on anyone. But I can't resist tonight. In a daze, I concentrate on my spell as I look into his eyes. There is a trace of worry because it's been a very long time since I've used this art. I don't know how effective it is now. He seems suspicious, but his dark eyes are giving in as he slowly embraces me. The rooster's crow dissipates the silence. I slowly wake up and feel like I've gone through a thoroughly interesting dream. In my dream, I was quite a amorous girl, taking advantage of a young mild lad. I try to remember the way he looks, but I can only remember a black figure among 10 miles of colorful blossoms. Jian's peach orchard isn't far from the East Sea. Since I wasn't in a hurry, I went to the cellar behind the mountain to dig up 3 more bottles. I keep them with my half-full bottle inside my sleeve and come to say goodbye to Jian. He reminds me to ask fourth brother to come help him plow the land in front of the mountain. Today is truly an auspicious day. I look afar for a spot to descend. Fairy energy floats in all direction on top of the East Sea. Auspicious clouds form over the sky. It seems fairies from vast lands have all arrived. I take from my sleeve a white silk ribbon. I cover my eyes and prepare to descend underwater. Everything about Donghai is great, except for the 2 bright water palace. My eyes haven't been able to stand brightness since 300 years ago. My mother said it's an illness from birth. I tested the water by poking my foot at the nearest shallow water. Donghai's water is cold. I slightly shiver and use my fairy power to form a protective boundary for my body. Then I hear several voices from behind me calling, "Sister, sister." My parents only have us 5 siblings. There wasn't another small fox that I am aware of. Turning around, I see in front of me a crowd of young ladies in elegant clothes. I can guess they're family members of some fairy or other, also here for the feast. The purple-robed girl in front is full of annoyance. "Our princess was calling out to you. Why didn't you reply?" I become confused for a moment. Then I look and see a white-robed girl with gems on her hair and pearls on her shoes. I turn to her and ask, "What did you want to ask me, young lady?" The white-robed girl's jade cheeks turn a shade of pink. "Since you have fairy chi around you, I guess that you are among the fairies who came here for the feast. I wanted to ask for direction, not knowing that your eyes are." The silk ribbon on my eyes doesn't actually affect my seeing ability. I also have Migu's branch, so giving directions isn't a problem. I nod my head and say, "It's true that I'm here for the feast. My eyes are fine, you can follow me. It's awfully boring walking underwater." Luckily Princess Luxiu and her maids are talking non-stop. They actually speak with whispering voices, but my foxy ears help me listen in on some pretty interesting things. One says, "Clearly the eldest princess left us behind because she didn't want us to join the party. She was showing off her ability to win, but she couldn't imagine we could find our own way. We'll have to tell the water god so he will punish her to several hundred years of self-reflection in the South Sea. Let's see if she will be able to look down on others anymore." So they're family members of Nanhai Shuahun, water god of the South Sea. Another says, "Even though the eldest princess is very pretty, our princess is generous and kind. You only have to show up at the party and the eldest princess won't be able to shine. So it's a sisterly feud. Yet another says, the marriage is definite. But Lord Yehua of course won't be happy with the grandma from King Kaiu. You're a rare beauty in heaven and earth. If you and Lord Yehua can fall in love at this feast, won't that be a celebration of all time? It takes me a while to realize Grandma from King Kaiu was meant for me. It momentarily makes me feel old and I'm not sure whether I want to cry or laugh. Princess Luxiu quickly scolds, "Don't speak nonsense." Everyone immediately quiets. About half an hour later we arrive at the water palace 3,000 meters deep in the seabed of the East Sea. I get doubtful and wonder if I've taken a wrong turn somewhere. This large palace doesn't look anything like the radiant water palace in my memory from the past. Princess Luxiu also widens her eyes in surprise. She points to the green wall ahead and asks me, "Aren't those seaweeds?" I was born and raised on land, so of course my knowledge of sea life is poor. My answer was a non-committal something like that. This really proves how trustworthy Elder Migu's branch is. This dark palace in front of us is indeed the water palace of Donghai Shuahun. The two maids standing at the palace gate push away the curtains and lead us in when they see Princess Luxiu. I can't help but lament. How come this Donghai Shuahun, who was of my own generation, decorates his palace so strangely? The hallways should have been bright, but they're even darker than my parents' fox cave. Luckily there are soft lighting pearls on the wall which help me from tripping over. Fairies from all land crowd together an hour before the party will start. The year my father celebrated his birthday, everyone did come, but not an entire hour early like this. This is only a month-old celebration for Donghai Shuahun's infant son, and yet everyone shows up on time. How unpredictable is this world? The younger generations of immortals sure are influential. Two maids lead Princess Luxiu to Donghai Shuahun. This Donghai Shuahun of my generation, his face does resemble his ancestors. I purposely hide in the back, blend in with some other fairies, and am about to ask a servant to take me to a resting room. It's been half a day and I'm kind of tired. But the entire palace is currently busy being enchanted by Princess Luxiu. Objectively, Luxiu's looks are only ordinary if placed in the past. She can't compare to any of my sister-in-laws. But placing her in today's standard, I guess she could be called a rare beauty compared to her generation of fairies. I don't have the heart to break these people's trance, so I quietly go outside, wanting to find a resting place. When it's time for the party to start, I would come to present the gift, eat a little, and take an early leave. I float from here to there, but still I can't find a place I like. It's so tiring. When I want to return to the main hall, I suddenly realize I don't know where to go. I touch my sleeve and find that my Migu branch is gone. Great, with my sense of direction, I'd have to thank God I can return by the time the feast ends, let alone by the time the feast starts. There's no other way. I just have to walk where there's a path. And that's how I get lost into Donghai Shuahun's backyard. I can't deny that this garden perfectly complements his palace. Green plants and grass cover the entire place. Everything is arranged wonderfully like a dreamy maze. From the moment I stepped into the garden until a long while later, I still can't find my way out. This magic is a good idea to prevent local fairies from leaving. But it's also not good. I become awfully down thinking about it. Then as my desperation heightens, a bright idea suddenly comes on. I find a stick and close my eyes as I throw it into the air. The stick falls and points to the left. I clap my hands and happily walk toward the right. Reality has shown my stick-pointing method to be a wise idea. Hours ago when I went around this garden, I saw no one. Not even the water mosquitoes. It's only been about 100 steps this time and I've already met a little doe. The doe is round and chubby, with 2 tiny horns on his head. He wears a dark green robe as he stares intently at a green coral. If I hadn't paid attention I would have mistaken him for a coral as well. A quick look tells me he's the son of some fairy or other. He is flaking away some seaweeds on the coral branches as I come to him and ask, "Little doe, what are you doing?" He replies without lifting his head up, lifting away the grass. My father Lord says underneath the wild grass is a beautiful coral of the East Sea. I've never seen one, so I'm trying to look. Father Lord? Oh, so he's a little prince from the heaven lineage. He's having a difficult time taking the seaweed away, so I can't help but to offer. I take a fan from my sleeve and give it to him. Use this fan and wave it gently. When all the grass is flown off, the coral will be even more beautiful. He holds the grass in one hand and my fan in the other. He waves it once carelessly and causes a great wind to start. The entire water palace shakes as the waves rise. It was just a small move, but the dark water palace now changes into a bright luminous place. I am startled myself. The Po Yun fan, break through the clouds fan, is powerful indeed, but it depends on the user's level of fairy chi as well. I didn't think the little doe could be that good. He only fanned it lightly, but the entire water palace's decoration has changed. Maybe this isn't so ethical after all. The little doe falls back to the ground and is in shock. He looks at me pleadingly and cries out, "Have I caused trouble?" I turn to face him and nod my head with difficulty. You weren't the only one at fault. I gave you the fan. The little doe widens his eyes at my sight. I think and deduce that it must be the scary white ribbon over my eyes. I guessed wrongly on that first part, and of course can't see what's coming next. The little doe suddenly hugs my leg tightly, wipes his head back and forth, and calls loudly, "Mom." I'm now feeling dizzy. He doesn't even care about my condition and keeps holding onto my leg while crying so pitifully, "Mom, aren't you my real mom? How can you leave Father and Ali?" His tears and snots get all over my dress as he speaks. Of course I become startled and race through my memories to see whether I've abandoned his father and him anywhere in the past however many thousand years. All of a sudden behind me comes a low voice, "Su, Su." The little doe quickly raises his head and weakly says "Father Lord" while his hands are still holding tightly onto my leg. I can't move an inch because he holds onto me too tightly. I also don't know what his background is, so I can't exactly push him away. I can only stand still now. His father quickens his steps and stands before me. He comes so close. With my eyes originally on the floor, I now see a pair of black shoes and an embroidered black robe. He sighs and says, "Susu." I'm surprised hearing the two words Susu. Apparently he's calling me. Fourth brother says I'm forgetful. But I can only remember within the past 100,000 years, I've been called Xiaowu, Ayin, 17th, and of course Lady. but no one has called me Susu. Taking advantage of the tiny moment when little Do wipes his eyes, I take a few steps back and raise my head to smile. I'm sure you're mistaken, sir. Just as I am done with my words, I become affected even before he can react to them. Green grass across the field. Deep slumber not knowing daytime. The little Do's father looks exactly like my teacher, Moi Wan. I can't believe it. I was about to mistake him for Moi Wan. The demon race wreaked havoc 70,000 years ago. They raised tides and caused fires everywhere. Moi Wan was able to seal away the demon king Jing Sheng at Donghuangchang, Ruo Shui. But his energy was also drained to the point where his soul left forever. I risked my life to save his body and took it back to King Kaihu. I placed him in Yanhua cave and used a bowl of blood each month from my heart to keep him alive. Moi Wan is the oldest son of the first deity. Legends call him the god of war. I couldn't believe there would be a day when he could die, and I still can't believe it. So I quietly waited, giving him a bowl of blood each month so that one day he might be able to smile and call me Xiao Shiki, little 17th, again. I'm saddened when these thoughts come back to me. But I'm not in a situation to be sad right now. Like wise men have said, when there are disasters, there will be even larger catastrophes. I still haven't recovered when the little Do's father takes away my white ribbon. I close my eyes as a natural reflex. He raises his hand to caress my eyes. The little Do who is standing next to me calls out, "Indecent, indecent." Throughout the years I've always been very calm. Even when Fangju burned down all the medicinal grass while cooking in front of our cave, I didn't care too much. But right now green veins are popping on my face. How imprudent. It's been many years since I've used these words. It seems a bit refreshing to reuse them now. The little Do holds tightly onto my skirt and says, "Mom, are you angry?" A long while later his father is still in silence. Some moments more he pulls the silk ribbon back to cover my eyes and says, "You're right, I got the wrong person. She didn't have a strong appearance yet weak soul like you. She didn't have your incredible beauty either. I have been disrespectful, please accept my apology." At this close distance, now I am able to see more clearly. At the hem of his sleeves and black robe are all dragon embroideries. Although I haven't left King Kaihu for thousands of years, I can still remember some of the regulations of the fairies. Except for people of the Tianjun family, no one from heaven to earth, even if they're supremely bored, can embroider dragon designs onto their clothes. When I turn to look, he already has the little Do back at his side. I'm guessing this black-robed man should be Lord Yehua, Tianjun's most beloved grandson. How sorry I feel. Still so handsome and young, yet he will have to marry the old grandma that is me. One can't help but lament. Fate is too cruel, too cruel. When I think of this match, I still feel so guilty toward him. So even though he has disrespected me in this situation, I still feel like it was I who wronged him. I awkwardly smile. "You're just being kind." He gazes at me with a deep cold look. I step aside and let them through. The little Do still wipes his nose and calls me Mom. I'll be his stepmother sooner or later anyway, so I smile without being upset. Yehua holds the little Do's hand and quickly disappears as the path turns a corner. At this moment I suddenly remember that without them, there will be no one to lead me out of here. I quickly run after the two, but even their shadows have been long gone. End of chapter 2.